Hundreds of thousands of extra doses of COVID vaccine are being rushed to Sydney's southwest. As the outbreak worsens, the scale of the emergency is becoming clearer. There are 38 new cases and more than half are in the southwestern suburbs. 7,000 people are now close contacts. Gladys Berejiklian says the numbers are too high and it's going to be a big ask for the lockdown to end after 3 weeks.
Community broadcaster Davey Newen provides an essential service.
COVID-19, how is it affecting your business and what's it doing to you and your family?
Even more so now COVID-19 is spreading in his area.
We're trying our best to get the message out there to let people know. The New South Wales Health has issued a notice what we need to do.
He's calling for the government to step up its communication in other languages to ensure diverse communities are up to date.
At the moment, I don't think the message is effective enough.
There's some, mistranslations happening there, and people are making genuine efforts to read that material, but they're coming away more confused.
Others agree the message isn't getting out there.
We're very worried because we try everything, but there's still people, they don't do the right thing.
Some people, they're not doing a proper job. They're not wearing masks indoors.
The Premier says more work is being done.
We're also following up today with all the multicultural channels to make sure the message gets out.
There were 38 new cases recorded in New South Wales. 21 of those are from southwestern Sydney. While 26 of the cases are linked, 12 are under investigation, and 11 of them were in the community while infectious.
The saddest message out of all of that is that people with the virus are passing it on to those they love most.
While some local testing clinics are overflowing, others only have a trickle of patients.
It doesn't mean that if you're in a different suburb, you don't have to be worried. But what we're trying to highlight is areas where we're particularly calling out for testing.
The suburbs of concern in Sydney's southwest have also been expanded to include Greenacre, Bonnyrigg, Bankstown and Roselands. The federal government is sending an extra 300,000 vaccines to Sydney's southwest. A big worry is the over 70s. Only around half of them have had their first dose of AstraZeneca. The Prime Minister is urging them to get their second dose slightly earlier, after 8 weeks instead of 12, a move he says is approved by regulators.
Given the risks to people of the outbreak in that area, we believe it's important that they get that second dose of AstraZeneca as soon as possible. That is the community that is most at risk in these circumstances.
I wasn't going to do it. I listened to 3 GPs and I did the first one today.
Urgent action that hopefully hasn't come too late. Kathleen Calderwood, ABC News, Sydney.
And Kathleen Calderwood is live for us tonight in Bankstown. Kathleen, police will launch a major operation to enforce the COVID rules in the city's southwest from 7 a.m.
That's right, Juanita. So the New South Wales Police have announced that there will be at least 100 extra police officers on the ground around southwestern Sydney from 7 a.m. tomorrow. Now, that's going to be a very visible police operation and it will involve officers from across the organisation, everything from general duties and traffic officers through to the mounted police, and they'll be mainly looking for compliance with mask wearing rules and ensuring that people aren't out and about. Here's a bit of what the Assistant Police Commissioner had to say.
Health very clearly have said to us we have a difficulty in southwest Sydney. This is all about helping our community to comply. Where we do not get that compliance, we will enforce. Be very clear.
So that was the Assistant Commissioner, Tony Cook. Now, there's already been some concern coming through from the community. I've been contacted by a number of people in the community who are concerned about this very strong police presence that will be around southwestern Sydney because, of course, those communities are very diverse and there's a lot of concern about the over-policing of those multicultural groups. And we've already seen some of the signs of that police presence. The restaurant chain Rashays has posted a video to their Facebook page. They claim that there was someone had dobbed in one of the restaurants for having staff who weren't wearing masks. Now, they say that the owner of one of their restaurants was arrested and that the police presence that came forward was very handed. So a lot of concern there, and a lot of people will be looking out tomorrow to see how that police operation goes down.
Kathleen Calderwood reporting there. The serious nature of the Delta strain is reflected in rising hospital numbers. 40 people are now in hospital with COVID, 3 more than yesterday. 17 are under 55 and 10 are under 35. 11 people are in intensive care, 3 require ventilation. And it's not just the elderly in ICU. The youngest is in their 30s, another is in their 50s. 5 are aged in their 60s and 4 in their 70s. Now that the case numbers aren't going the way they were expected to, there are questions about whether New South Wales will change its strategy. At this stage, the aim is still to stamp out the spread of the virus. Here's state political reporter Ashley Raper.
The Delta strain is proving a difficult beast to contain, but the state government maintains getting to 0 cases is possible.
We are clearly trying to achieve stopping the transmission through the community.
But nearly 2 weeks into the lockdown, success has been limited.
The fact that we've still got a large number of people infectious in the community means that we still haven't effectively stopped those chains of transmission.
The Premier appears prepared to stay the course.
There isn't anywhere on the planet that's managed to live with this variant of the Delta virus without having a proportion of their population vaccinated.
New South Wales has to eliminate the virus from the community before opening up again, otherwise we're going to see disaster.
But doubt seems to be creeping in about what can realistically be achieved.
It's absolutely imperative that in this phase we're in now, the suppression phase, that we work together to ensure that we can suppress this latest outbreak as effectively as we possibly can.
We're giving it our best shot to stop all community transmission, get back to 0. But if that's not possible, then we'll have to look at what does Plan B look like.
If Plan B involves admitting defeat, Western Australia is threatening to keep its border closed to New South Wales indefinitely.
If a state goes rogue and behaves in an irresponsible fashion, you've got to expect other states to use the measures that we have to protect ourselves from that state.
At least it's consistent.
Other states are less hardline.
We're certainly not going to be contemplating closing off to New South Wales permanently.
I just think we need to see how New South Wales goes over the next week.
Rhetoric aside, the decision to end or extend the lockdown will be based on how many cases have been infectious in the community. There are key decision makers within government opposed to extending the lockdown again. But then what are the options, considering the state is months away from having the majority of the adult population vaccinated? Ashley Raper, ABC News, Sydney.
Preparations for homeschooling are tonight in chaos. The Education Department has been the target of a major cyber attack. Amy Greenbank has been following developments. Amy, this couldn't have come at a worse time.
That's right, Juanita. The cyber attack took place just hours after Greater Sydney students were told they would need to return to online learning next week. Public school teachers were already rushing to prepare. So when the Department of Education's online portal went down, there was stress and confusion.
They have no access to the information they need. They have no access to emails, calendars, Zoom. They can't even talk to students because this is the gateway that gives them access to all of those resources.
Now, the department says it should have the site up and running again by the first day of Term 3 next Tuesday at the latest. But the New South Wales Teachers Federation says that's not nearly fast enough. Now, it's also understood there was private staff and student information on the site, but it's unclear if it's been compromised. And the ABC understands the attack originated overseas, with federal and state agencies working together to determine who's responsible.
Amy Greenbank reporting there. More people will soon be able to receive federal COVID disaster payments. From next week, the liquid asset test will be waived. But for many in one of the hardest hit sectors, the entertainment industry, the emergency payments are not nearly enough to survive. Mark Reddy reports.
They make us smile and laugh.
Oh, hello, darling. You're looking fabulous today.
But their cheer is running out.
You will notice that she is profoundly alone.
And that's how so many feel right now in a billion-dollar industry.
As an industry, we're the most insecure, we're hit first, we're hit hardest, and we're hit most often.
Before the first lockdown, Verushka Darling was performing 6 nights a week. 2 weeks into the second one, the drag queen of 25 years is out of work.
There's a flow-on effect. So when I don't get paid, my costumier doesn't get paid, my wig maker doesn't get paid, my choreographer doesn't get paid.
Federal help is available. $500 a week if you can prove a loss of at least 20 hours of work per week. For losing under 20 hours, it drops to $325. From Saturday, you no longer need to have less than $10,000 in the bank to qualify.
$500 a week in Sydney barely covers rent. So it's a real problem. I think there is a really big disconnect between the government and the reality of the situation.
But for producer Catherine Alcorn, her upcoming shows are at risk even when the lockdown ends. So too are tens of thousands of dollars.
Whether or not audiences will be ready to enter into a live venue, whether capacity will be 100%, whether that will be impacted.
Questions front of mind for Come From Away star Doug Hansel.
We will be the last to go back up, you know. I would probably expect that sporting events would go up before we do.
Come From Away is not the only musical to stand down as actors and crew without pay. Hamilton has done the same. Given many have already used up their leave and entitlements in the Brisbane and Melbourne lockdowns, this is an industry crying out for greater support.
There needs to be a focus on this industry once COVID is in the rearview mirror, because it will probably be the last industry to bounce back.
We will hustle, because that's what we do as an industry. We are hustlers and pirouetters.
Because the show must go on. Mark Reddy, ABC News, Sydney.